What if I told you that being too intelligent, too talented, or too impressive could quietly destroy your future? History is filled with people who didn't fail because they lacked skill or courage, but because they shined a little too brightly in the wrong presence. Power does not punish weakness the way it punishes threats, and sometimes the greatest threat is brilliance itself. This is the first and most dangerous law of power, a rule so subtle that most people break it without ever realizing they've crossed the line. Never outshine the master. When you try too hard to impress, when you show too much intelligence or talent, you risk awakening insecurity instead of admiration. And once insecurity appears in someone who holds power over you, your position becomes fragile. In 17th century France, power revolved around one man, King Louis XIV. He was young, proud, and obsessed with being the center of attention. Serving beneath him was Nicolas Fouquet, the king's finance minister. Fouquet was brilliant, wealthy, cultured, and deeply ambitious. When the prime minister died, Fouquet assumed he would inherit the role. Instead, the king eliminated the position entirely, a silent warning that Fouquet's influence had grown too large. Feeling his power slipping away, Fouquet made a fatal mistake. He decided to impress his master instead of reassuring him. Fouquet organized the most extravagant celebration France had ever witnessed, unveiling his magnificent palace, Vaux-le-Vicomte. The event featured rare foods, original music composed specifically for the king, and fireworks that lit up the night sky. Every guest was astonished. The party was flawless, unforgettable, and legendary. Fouquet believed he had proven his loyalty and value, but what he truly revealed was that his wealth, taste, and influence rivaled the king's own. The very next day, Fouquet was arrested. He spent the remaining 20 years of his life imprisoned in isolation. Louis XIV didn't destroy Fouquet because of corruption or betrayal. He destroyed him because Fouquet made him feel eclipsed. Now contrast that failure with the success of Galileo Galilei. Galileo was a genius, but genius alone did not bring him security. For years, he lived dependent on patrons who offered praise instead of stable support. Everything changed in 1610 when he discovered the moons of Jupiter. Instead of claiming the discovery for himself or spreading credit among multiple powerful figures, Galileo focused on one family, the Medicis. He transformed his scientific breakthrough into a symbol of their greatness, naming the moons after the Medici brothers and claiming their appearance coincided with Cosimo II's rise to power. By doing this, Galileo did not challenge his masters intellectually or socially. He elevated them. He aligned their name with the cosmos itself. Rather than appearing as a rival genius, Galileo became a source of reflected glory. The result was immediate and lasting. He was appointed official court philosopher and mathematician, given a salary, protection, and stability. Galileo understood that survival depends not on brilliance alone, but on knowing when to let others appear brighter. The lesson behind Law 1 is rooted in human psychology. Everyone, no matter how powerful, carries insecurity. When you display talent openly, you naturally provoke envy and resentment. Among equals, this is manageable, but among superiors, it is dangerous. Some masters are so insecure that simply being yourself can make you a threat. Cesare Borgia murdered the young prince Astor Manfredi not because he rebelled, but because his natural grace and admiration from others triggered Borgia's vanity. Another critical mistake is believing affection grants immunity. Favorites often fall faster than enemies. In 16th century Japan, the tea master Sen no Rikyu became so comfortable in the emperor's favor that he lost his sense of limits. When he commissioned a statue of himself placed above the emperor, it signaled ego instead of humility. That single misjudgment cost him his life. Power tolerates mistakes, but it never tolerates someone forgetting their place. Using this law effectively requires discipline. If you are more intelligent than your superior, ask for their guidance instead of displaying your brilliance. If your ideas are stronger, let them believe those ideas originated from them. Publicly credit the master, even when the work is yours. True flattery is subtle and indirect. It must feel natural, not forced. Think of power like the sky. There may be many stars, but there can only be one sun. Never block its light. Instead, reflect it. There is one exception to this law. When a master is clearly weak and already losing power, you may allow yourself to outshine them carefully. However, even then, patience is essential. Destroying a weak superior too aggressively can make you appear cruel or opportunistic. Often, the smartest move is to wait. Power erodes with time. Egos collapse under their own weight. If you endure long enough, the master will fall naturally, and you will be there to rise when the moment comes. Law 1 is not about submission or fear. It is about mastering your own ego while others lose control of theirs. By making those above you feel secure and superior, you gain freedom, protection, and time. And in the world of power, time is everything. Make them shine today so you can rise tomorrow. This is episode 1 in the Laws of Power, and every episode will expose a rule most people learn too late. If you want to understand how influence really works, how people rise, and why others disappear quietly, subscribe to the channel. Because in the next episode, we uncover Law 2, and it will change how you look at friends forever.